Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a fascinating journey into a part of the world that is transforming faster than almost anywhere else on the planet. We're going to start by looking at the sweeping macroeconomics of the modern Gulf. Think of those towering, cinematic Dubai skylines. And then we're going to zoom all the way down to the micro level. We'll be exploring the vibrant, everyday interactions happening right now in bustling cafes, modern metro stations, and busy taxis. It's a story about money and politics, sure, but at its core, it's really a story about people and how they speak to each other.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the modern Gulf Alliance, then moving beyond just oil, unpack the Khaleeji identity, explore a spectrum of Arabic, and finally, look at the language of migration. It is a journey from the high-stakes boardrooms of the Gulf Cooperation Council straight down to the incredibly diverse conversations happening on the street.
Section 1. The Modern Gulf Alliance.
Now, before we can really talk about the people and the language, we have to understand the landscape. When you look at the rapid modern development of this region, it's pretty awe-inspiring. But how is it actually organized? Well, there's a really important distinction to make here. There are 7 Arab states that share the coastline of the Persian Gulf: Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. However, the political, economic, and military alliance known as the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, uniquely groups only 6 of them. Established back in May 1981, the GCC includes everyone on that list except Iraq. And this alliance really forms the political bedrock of the region we're exploring today.
Section 2. Moving beyond just oil. Let's zoom in a little bit from that geopolitical map. What is the massive economic engine actually funding these ultra-realistic, futuristic city atmospheres we see today? Historically, the answer was simple, right? Hydrocarbons. But that brings us to absolutely the most critical question facing the region right now. How are these nations preparing for a post-oil future? Because it's one thing to build incredible skylines with decades of petroleum revenues and massive sovereign wealth funds, but how do you actually sustain that wealth when the oil eventually runs out?
Well, the answer is diversification, and the results are honestly staggering: 73%. According to recent data, an incredible 73% of the first quarter 2025 GDP among GCC states actually came from non-oil sectors. This is huge because it proves that economic diversification in the Gulf isn't just some aspiration or a distant future goal anymore. It is a tangible, functioning reality right now. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where that 73% is coming from. The key growth sectors are tourism, logistics, manufacturing, financial services, and real estate. These are the specific industries footing the bill for the bustling malls, the sleek office buildings, and the premium infrastructure that completely defines the modern Gulf. It really is a total economic transformation.
Section 3. The Khaleeji identity.
So let's shift our narrative away from the boardrooms and economic charts. Let's look at the locals walking through these minimalist, vibrant cities. Who are they, and more importantly, how do they sound? Gulf Arabic, which is often called Khaleeji, is a very distinct cultural and linguistic identity. You can clearly hear phonetic shifts that give Gulf Arabic its unique flavor. For example, the classical Arabic qaf sound often shifts to a guf or g sound. So the word for minute, daqiqa, becomes daqiqa, and the kaf or k sound frequently softens into a chi. So kalb, meaning dog, turns into chalb in everyday conversation. These shifts instantly mark a speaker as Khaleeji. But it's not just about pronunciation, it's the vocabulary itself. The Gulf has been a massive hub of maritime trade for centuries, and everyday Khaleeji is beautifully woven with foreign loanwords. From Persia, they use dula for socks. From Hindi and Urdu, juti means shoes. And from English, you'll actually hear switch for electronic keys. It's like this linguistic mosaic built by centuries of cross-cultural interaction.
Section 4. A Spectrum of Arabic. Let's move our focus into a sleek, modern office or maybe a high-tech TV studio for a second. Because here is a fascinating secret about the Arabic language. Locals don't just speak one way. They actually navigate a complex spectrum of Arabic depending entirely on the social situation they find themselves in. So the crucial point is understanding diglossia. It's a situation where a community uses 2 totally distinct forms of the same language. In the Gulf, you have the formal, official written Arabic, and then you have the widely diverging colloquial vernacular used for everyday speaking. And locals seamlessly code switch between these forms all day long.
Let's walk through this spectrum so it makes sense. Up at the top, you have Modern Standard Arabic, or MSA. This is what you read in the morning paper or hear from a formal news anchor. Step 2 is Educated Spoken Arabic. This is what professionals use in a boardroom or a serious discussion.
It's colloquial, sure, but it's heavily influenced by MSA. And finally, step 3 is everyday colloquial Arabic. This is the relaxed, pure Khaleeji dialect you'd use when you're just casually chatting with your friends at a cafe.
To see this in action, picture a high-stakes, live 4K television broadcast. The interviewer reads their prepared question in perfect, formal modern standard Arabic. But the absolute second they drop their nodes to make a spontaneous joke or an off-the-cuff comment, they fluidly switch right into their everyday colloquial dialect. It's a beautiful linguistic dance that happens constantly.
Section 5. The language of migration. Okay, we're zooming all the way down to the street level now. Imagine sitting in the back of a taxi or ordering a coffee in a busy, highly diverse mall. The Gulf is home to millions of migrant workers. So how do local Khaleeji speakers actually communicate with a massive foreign workforce from South and Southeast Asia who don't natively speak Arabic? The answer is Gulf Pidgin Arabic. Back in the 1950s, the oil industry boom began, bringing in the first wave of foreign workers. By the 1970s, there was this massive, unprecedented influx of South and Southeast Asian migrant workers arriving to physically build these futuristic cities. Out of pure, absolute necessity, a simplified register of Arabic evolved to allow these two groups to communicate, which led to its widespread use today.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stripped-down structure of this Pidgin language. Imagine a conversation beautifully subtitled in Arabic and Urdu. Gulf Pidgin Arabic completely lacks the vowel length distinctions found in standard Arabic. It drops consonant gemination, meaning those doubled consonant sounds are gone, and fundamentally, its pronunciation is highly influenced by the migrant speaker's native tongue, whether that's Hindi, Tagalog, or Persian.
Now, it is worth noting that Gulf Pidgin Arabic does carry a social stigma. It isn't considered prestigious, and because migrant workers generally don't permanently settle down and start families in the region, it has never developed into a full native Creole language. Yet, despite all of that, it is the absolute essential everyday bridge for cross-cultural communication. Think about it. Without this simplified language, the daily functioning of the Gulf's service, logistics, and construction sectors would literally grind to a halt. Which brings us to a final, pretty profound question to leave you with. We've seen how the macroeconomics of moving beyond oil have built these incredible cities, and how that has directly shaped the diverse, everyday voices heard on the streets through trade, diglossia, and pidgin languages. So how will this rapid economic diversification and continuous globalized migration continue to shape the cultural identity and the very language of the Gulf in the coming decades? It's going to be a fascinating evolution to watch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.